there. And I'm also going to look at my alignment that way. So by doing that, I will place my little balls of wax right on the areas where I marked it, checking after each time for alignment and for height. It's just little balls of wax that gets built up. You can always use your instrument to see how the height is from cuss tip to cuss tip, to see if it's correct or not. And don't only stay with one wax tip. If you only need a little bit, use a smaller one. Once you got it to where you think it's correct, right now I'm looking at the alignment this way and the height that way. I will check back on the articulator, see how it fits or aligns up. If it's still within my lines, which I veered off to the distal. So before I continue on, I'm going to fix that. By taking away what is wrong. And adding the correct placement of it. Better. Now it's in alignment. Check for my overhang, which I got to bring it out a little bit more. I'm going to build out that way. I always check after every now and then putting on wax. Don't do a lot of wax and not check your progress. So I got my alignment where I want it. The rest on the buckle is going to be done with the body. So I got 2 out of 4 cuss tips made. Now I will check through here for the approximate area of the next one. So I can visually see where I'm going to need it. It's going to be right about there. So I'll start building up one cusp at a time. And see how it lines up. Now, as this gets cool, it hardens a little bit. It won't be as shiny. And I can slowly close this down. And when I make contact, it's going to have an imprint here when it's just soft, not molten. So my alignment is correct, my height has got to be corrected. So I add on a little bit more wax. Let it haze over a little bit. And keep going until I have contact. I don't need a lot of wax on there, I just need it to make contact so I know when to stop. Almost. Waxing is not a rush game. Alright. So let me get focused. You see how that smashed a little bit?
Yes.
That is my contact now. So I know that I made contact in occlusion like that. I don't have to build that up anymore. I have a good contact there. So looking at these other molars on the lingual cusps, what is this cusp called? Well, what is this ridge called?
Oblique ridge.
Yes, that is correct. So you can see how big that oblique ridge is compared to the rest of the tooth. This is going to be very similar. It's going to take up a lot of the lingual side of the tooth. So I'm not going to make my cusp very close. I'm going to make it kind of far because it's almost non-existent. The first molar has a small distal lingual cusp, but it has a large oblique ridge. So I'm going to close it, see about where it should be lined up. Do you know where the distal lingual cusp should be lining up with? Looking at this? No idea?
Would it not kind of be similar to the buccal cusp?
There is no developmental groove there, but it has an embrasure. It's going to go into the embrasure area. The buccal lines up with the developmental grooves because the opposing has 3 cusps and 2 developmental grooves. The lingual does not have 3 cusps, it only has 2. So only 1 developmental groove is used as a guide, which is this one here. This embrasure here is your other landmark for your cusp of the distal lingual. I chose this one to be your wax up because it has more irregularities than a simple standard tooth. So going about where the embrasure is where I will start my 4th cusp tip. The 4th cusp tip is not meant for contact, it's meant for shearing and biting. So it does not have to contact anything in that area in a natural tooth state. It just has to have some height to it for definition, whereas the other 3 are made for stamping, grinding, and shearing. So this is where I'm expecting to see it before you start with arms or body or anatomy. I'm going to bring this around so you guys can see it in person.